Still joined by OC Platinum and Professor B. So we're going to go down game by game, announcement by announcement from the Xbox conference. And we are going to, simply say, hey, what we like, what we didn't like, all that good stuff. So all you guys out there in the chat, now's the time to jump in. We want your opinions on everything as well. Just finished the Xbox conference. It was about an hour and 45 minutes long. So, Brian, Derek, first off, overall, what'd you think?
I thought it was good. I think they definitely are learning, I think, what needs to be done to make an entertaining conference. And I think they focused on games. They focused on some gameplay. They showed some that were pre-rendered stuff. And they followed the same exact format that Sony's done in the past of start with something big, slow down a little bit in the middle, and then come back up towards the end. And I think they showed off the 1X properly. The name is dumb. They should have done something more unique. I don't know. Even just calling it the Xbox X would have been easier. But I don't know. I just think that, in my personal opinion, did it justify enough of buying a new console and spending $500? No, I don't think so. Unless you're just
you're getting ahead of yourself there. So we're just talking about the overall conference as a whole. Derek, what did you think?
I agree. I thought it was good. I thought some of the games were lacking a little bit, but I'm excited for Forza, obviously. But some of those games just aren't my cup of tea, like the platforming games and the just straight-up story-based games. But I thought it was good.
I agree. So, I mean, my biggest thing with the overall thing was they definitely learned from years past, right? So where they focused on games first, games more than anything else, because that's what the audience wants. I think they took way too long. The first 15 minutes of the show was weird trailer. Like, I'm okay with montage trailer showing off games like they did at the end, but it was like awkward trailer of women standing there with a controller, and then there was a lot of talking, all that sort of thing. So I think they could have sped that up, but I think they took the right formula for the show. Like you said, some stuff in the middle. I'm reading a tweet right now from Boogie that says 42 games in one press conference. Only 2 will actually be exclusive.
Really?
We'll have to check the validity of that with all of our notes that we took there, but that's actually fucking frightening if that's actually the truth.
Do you mean truth. Like actually just on Xbox One?
I think that's what he must be referencing.
Okay. I mean, but while that statement's true, it has to be accepted now. Exclusive for Xbox means that it's also on PC.
Right, and that's fair. So, we'll get into that now. So let's go right off the top. They immediately got into it and announced the name Xbox One X. They showed off a picture of what the console looks like, and they announced a launch date of November 7th. They ignored, and they did not want to say the price at this point, but we'll talk about it. It was $500 US. So, first off, the name. I'm not a fan of the name, and I'll tell you why. Just working retail, I saw what it did with the Wii to the Wii U. The average consumer, whether that is a 12-year-old kid or a mom or somebody shopping, when someone comes in and there's multiple SKUs that have the similar name that, hell, even like sound the same, is very, very hard for them to differentiate between what they're doing when they're doing their Christmas shopping, their birthday shopping, whatever it is. When they come in and they say, I need the new Xbox, the person's going to say, is that the Xbox One X? Is that the Xbox One S? Or we still have the original model? And then they're going to say, okay, what's the difference in price? And they're going to tell them that and say, well, what does this do that this one doesn't do? And they'll say, this one's 4K, this one's not. And 9 times out of 10, that mom's probably just going to go with the cheaper option. So,
I mean, sure, and that argument holds for even just like the PS4 and the PS4 Pro.
Oh, and I agree.
Even if they just called it the Xbox One 4K.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it was just the thing of S and X is just too close.
It's too similar. But the thing is, there's PS4 and PS4 Pro, so it's clearly an enhanced edition. Where it was Xbox One, Xbox One S, Apple. Now Xbox One X. And I think if the Xbox One S did not come out, this would make more sense.
Yeah.
But to me,
I think it's a little bit too similar.
Yeah.
And that's just nitpicking. I know it's
definitely nitpicking, for sure.
Overall irrelevant in regards to the actual outcome of the console, but it was just, I don't know. But
yeah, but I think the One X is obviously a more niche market because you no business buying it if you don't have a 4K TV, basically. I mean, it's it's not worth the money.
Yeah,
Just
that
get
was
the
actually
regular
one
Xbox
thing.
One S.
That's a good point. Whenever the Pro came out, they were pretty clear to state that certain games were going to be improved, like beyond even just 4K rendering. That like if it was a 30 frames per second game, it'll improve to 60 frames per second. They didn't say anything like that, did they?
No, I mean, we'd have to go back and recap the very beginning. I mean, they didn't. They talked a lot
I'm
about the
sure.
internals, right? But I don't know if they talked about anything benchmarks, did they?
I'm sure the Xbox One enhanced or the One X enhanced is it'll run at
Yeah,
higher
I guess
frames
that's
than
probably what the case
1080p.
is. But it was just they didn't go over anything like that, and that was one of the biggest things for the Pro that I thought was really good that they did was that they stated, here's 4K gaming, but if you don't have 4K, this is still useful because hey, these games will run quicker and at a higher frame rate.
Right.
They didn't mention anything of that in this, at least from what I can remember.
Yeah,
Okay.
but how many consoles did they sell just on higher frame rates, though? I don't think people are really looking for that.
Sure, but I'm just saying that was what made me convinced that a Pro was still useful for me. I'm just saying
Yeah.
in the aspect of when you just came out and said there's no use to it unless you had a 4K TV. I agree. Other than if they had said it increases your frames per second or load speeds or things like that.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is for a niche audience. I think the funny, interesting thing is, before we even get into the price point or anything like that, is, Sony and Microsoft did almost the exact same thing, right? So there's the PS4 Pro, and then there's now the X. Obviously, different price point, different specs. The X more powerful, makes sense. But they took two separate veins on how to try and announce it and go with it. And Sony was basically just like, this is more of a powerful console. It's going to play the same games you're used to playing, but now it's in 4K. Now it's going to render faster. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. And we're not going to overhype it. This is for a very niche audience. This is for the people that want to play, this game in this type of vein. Versus Xbox has been screaming for the mountaintops literally since this day last year that this was like the next latest greatest thing. So all of us predicting, originally, I thought this was going to be the next Xbox, the next generation of Xbox, not an Xbox One Plus, if you will. And I think that's just more what's odd to me is the hype factor. Is the hype too much? Are they trying to push this too much to the mainstream, to the general public, that, hey, you should go spend $500? Do you even have a 4K TV? Or is this that big deal to you? And it very well may, but I think, like Derek and Brian said, much like the Pro, it's a niche audience. And level set expectations is the difference, right? Is it going to become this massive success? I don't know. To each his own. It might, and it'll satisfy the people that want to play certain games in 4K that maybe they don't have a 4K compatible PC. But there's pros and cons to that. So, and that takes us to the price point, right? So $500. I don't think that's good. I think it's okay, like Brian said earlier. I think it's in between, right? I don't see spending $200 over playing the Xbox One S when the Xbox One S also does the upscale 4K.
I mean, I think it's just the point is it's going to be the hardest of the hardcore Xbox fans that will get this. That's the case. It was just for the PlayStation when they came out with it. It was still a case of, okay, the Slim is $250, but the Pro is $400. So
Right.
it's like it's only $150 more, and if you can justify it, do it. If not, it's not that big of a deal. Versus this,
No, it's only $100 more.
Twice the cost. It's twice the cost, so it's like, you really have to have justification for it. And so something I just brought up here, which is just it's a comparison between the Pro and the Xbox One X, and I think it's just interesting to show. The Xbox One X is 8-core, 2.3 gigahertz. The Pro is 8-core, 2.13 gigahertz. So in regards to actual clock speed, not that much of a difference.
Right.
The biggest differences comes for graphics processing is One X is 6 teraflops, PS4 Pro is 4.12 teraflops, with the Xbox transfer rate of 326 gigabytes per second, and the PS4 Pro being 218 gigabytes per second. And also with that, the One X has 12 gigabytes GDR5, and the Pro has 8 gigabytes GDR5. So that's actually something that's going to be interesting is how is the One X going to use those additional 4 gigs? Because they can't develop games to use the additional 4 gigs unless it's specifically designed for the One X.
And that's my whole thing is if they had a bunch of exclusives come out of this conference, like first party, built for the ground up, only on Xbox One X, like optimize that hardware, then fuck yeah, that would make sense to me. But to tell an EA with Anthem, it's not going to be this massive difference across the board. And if anywhere, it's going to be on PC.
And
that's the thing. I just don't know.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I know it was specifically said too that of the 12 gigs available, 9 gigabytes of that will be available to developers, versus I believe on the Pro it's only 8 gigs, but 7 gigs of that is available to developers. So
not as big of a difference, right? Where there's the 12 versus the 8, there's 4.
Much.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but now it's actually 2. So I don't know, Derek. What do you think about the price? He gone. But all right. So I mean, it is what it is. The one nice thing they also talked about too, which is kind of a good thing, but also could potentially hurt it. It is fully compatible with Xbox One everything. So that's current games you already own, as well as the accessories. So the controllers, headsets, stuff like that. I think that's a nice thing. It's a gesture so that people don't have to go drop all this extra money, do all this extra stuff to try and, you know, they like all of a sudden make a $500 purchase into a $700 purchase because they got to buy another $70 controller, they got to buy another headset, they got to buy this, got to buy that. I think it's more, hey, this is a nice thing for you, but
it's very expected. If they didn't do that, then
right,
it would have been a flop right off the bat.
Exactly. So, and that's where it just says this really is just an Xbox One Pro, enhanced, whatever you want to say. So, which isn't a bad thing. It's just to all the Xbox One owners that already own a console, is this going to make you go drop the extra money? And that's really the question that I don't know if any of us can answer. So, anyway, we'll move on now. We'll get on to the actual games and everything like that. So, all you guys that are out there watching on Twitch, make sure you are jumping into the chat. You are letting us know your thoughts and feelings on everything that was announced and everything like that as well, including the games as they come out. So, first game they showed off, which was spectacular but also very expected, was Forza 7 Motorsport. This is coming on PC and Xbox One. So, remind you, we're going to say where everything's coming out. And let's make note of that because Boogie, like he said from the top of the show, 42 games showed. Only 2 were actual Xbox exclusives. Pro or con, I don't know, but that goes into the further discussion of $500, do you just get a PC? Because, you know, like I used to always own an Xbox because I'd want to play the Halos, the Gears, the Forzas, the exclusives that I couldn't play anywhere else. Now that all those games are coming out day and date on PC, which will run better than Xbox One X if you have a PC to do so, I'm now out of that ecosystem. And I think a lot of the core niche audience that the Xbox One X would appeal to might be in a similar vein. So I don't know. But Forza 7 I thought looked great. It's Forza. It's back to their prime stuff. I mean, it's to be expected. What do you think, Brian? Forza?
I don't really care. I mean, if I'm going to get a racing game, it would be the Gran Turismo, but I don't even know if I'm going to, just because racing games used to be fun. I just don't really have the time or patience for them anymore.
I still enjoy racing games. Sorry, I was on the phone. I was talking about that. But yeah, I think Forza 7 looks awesome. There hasn't been a whole lot of Gran Turismo games, so I think that's where Forza kind of fills the gap in that.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, the prime Forza games come out every other year, so I'm excited about this one. PC and Xbox, so we'll have that Xbox One X enhanced version as well. So, yeah, I mean, it's Forza. There's not much you can really talk on it. It looks great. It's Forza. It's what you would expect. The next one was one that came out of nowhere that we don't think any of us would have predicted, was Metro Exodus. They had a really cool looking gameplay trailer that they ran. Looks beautiful. Looks very dark and gritty. They say it's coming out in 2018, but it's not exclusive, so this will be across the board.
Yeah, definitely looks interesting. It's one that the gameplay they showed was like definitely pre-rendered. It wasn't like actual gameplay, so we'll have to wait and see. I think it's a little bit closer.
Derek, do you have anything on Metro? Because I know you're a fan, and it looked good to you.
Yeah, it looked like a pretty big bump up from the old Metro games. I love the old Metro games. They're good FPSs, but yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean, Metro's looks awesome.
It looks interesting.
Yeah.
It was a cool thing to, I think, kind of throw out of left field and to add in.
Right.
It looks much different.
Derek, your mic just went really quiet. Are you far away?
No, it should be about the same.
Okay,
Can
you're
you hear
good.
me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it looks much different than the old games. It looks much brighter because, the old Metro games were all underground in the actual tunnels, and this looks like it's expanding on that world a little bit.
Yeah, it looked very interesting. I think, I mean, it just looked fucking beautiful, first and foremost. Obviously,
Yeah,
we
it
don't
looked really
know. They weren't playing it live on stage. And that's actually a good question. Did they have anybody walk out and actually do an actual live on stage gameplay demo of any of the
The
games?
racing one was
No, just Forza.
Yeah,
And
but
that
I
was
don't even
what,
know if they-
15 seconds?
and I don't even think they were actually racing.
Yeah, that something
But,
was odd with that Forza thing.
I think something happened.
Yeah, I think
I think
something
so,
happened.
too.
when they were trying to play it.
I
Yeah.
think it might have crashed actually in the first few seconds, which is why we saw things weren't rendering, and they might have just immediately skipped to
Yeah.
a pre-recorded video without trying to make people notice.
Yeah, because if you go back and watch that live, Brian pointed out, and I saw it with the delay here on Twitch, there was no shadows rendering of the cars at first. So something might have crashed or broke or not running right, so they killed it and immediately kicked over to trailers and everything like that, which is obviously not a good look when they're showing off the power and all this. But I get it. Games are in development.
It happens.
It happens.
Porsche's going to be pissed, though, because they brought out their new car for that.
Porsche probably there was a lot of money and shit probably exchanged for this, but yeah, I mean, see that's a scary thing too, that nothing actually on stage was played actual live. They showed gameplay demos, but these were
Yeah,
pre-cut
but
trailers.
I don't know. I don't particularly care that much about
I do.
people actually standing there with a controller when who gives a fuck.
But I do because I want to see that this game is actually running and looks at the way it's supposed to look. Go back to the 360 PS3 days where they said this was actual in-game gameplay, and then it's not.
Happily,
Well, it's going to be running on a PC anyway.
Yes, but I still want
I
to
mean-
see it running.
I agree with you. I want to see gameplay, like live gameplay. I just don't care if someone's standing there with a controller. Is my point.
Okay, whether they're on stage playing or not, I want it actually to be live played. So where if somebody, remember the Uncharted 4
Yeah.
live gameplay a couple years ago, where
Stop work.
the guy fell off the map, or he fell through the map, and you were like, okay, that is actually live happening right now. So the game actually does look that fucking good or bad,
They
or
made a fucking trophy out of it, and it was awesome.
right. So it's
I
like,
think
I don't know. To me, that's something that needs to happen, and that's for every publisher, every game, every conference. It's not doesn't need to be every game. It just needs to be. Let's have a handful that show off that this game is actually running, like this game's coming. So, because to me, that's a concern of the Xbox One X, but I can't get into more details on that. So, did you also notice? I'll just put this out there. Did you also notice that they gave no pre-order information?
For what? The console?
The console itself, yeah.
Do they usually do that?
Yes.
I think it's kind of implied that it'll be available
Yeah,
for
I
pre-order, though.
Is it though? Can you go check Walmart, Best Buy, GameStop, all that right now?
I'll go to Amazon.
Because I can't say
yeah.
more things, but I make you guys go look.
Oh. Yeah, it's not up on Amazon.
Yep. It's not up anywhere.
Why is that?
I can't say.
Are they gonna like try and like only sell it in their fucking store or something?
No. Maybe okay. Well, I mean, I we can assume and we can make opinions. Maybe it's not ready. Maybe it's rushed. Maybe something happened to where they don't have numbers of how many people are actually going to be able to get them, that sort of thing, what manufacturing, what their expectations are, that sort of thing. So could there be potentially a delayed launch? Possibly. Could it still come out on time? Sure, possibly. Normally, though,
That
whenever
is
something
odd,
gets
just thinking from,
announced,
the most recent
pre-orders are
Switch.
up immediately. And that's the one
Yeah.
thing you guys have to take into account and think about that. So,
Yeah, no,
little
you're
odd.
right. I'm thinking about the Switch reveal. It was available like instantly,
Yep.
basically.
Or any console. Or they say the pre-orders will be live in a week or something like that. They'll say like you will be able to pre-order this at all participating retailers beginning on blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
Yeah, I guess I overlooked that.
yeah, one little neat tidbit there. But let's move on to the next game, Assassin's Creed Origins, coming out on October 27th on everything, obviously. So this is not just an Xbox game. I think it looks great. I think Assassin's Creed's disappeared for a couple years now. They said they're going to go reformat things. You kind of saw more RPG elements through the gameplay that they showed. I think the game looks cool. It's got a cool setting in Egypt, new protagonist. I'm pretty excited. I think this might be one I get back into playing Assassin's Creed. What do you guys think?
I think it looks pretty awesome. It got me interested in the Assassin's Creed series again, but then I saw the Shadow of War trailer and all the hype went towards that.
I think it's a good combination of that. They're reimagining what the game is, because I think that was very like the original, when the original Assassin's Creed came out, that was good, but it's very dated, this style of gaming, that it was like if they tried to just release the same type. So I think it was very important that they did that, but I think it was also very good that I think a lot of people have had a break from Assassin's Creed for a few years, so people can get excited for it again, if that makes sense. Right. It's not just another one of their yearly installments. There is a little bit of a nostalgia now of like, wow, yeah, the last time I really spent a lot of time on an Assassin's Creed game was my freshman year of college, and now here it is 4 years later. Okay, I'm about ready to give another one a try.
Right. No, I mean, I think it makes sense. I'm glad they disappeared from the series for a while, so it looked good.
They've definitely learned a lot from other games, because we definitely saw elements of a bunch of other games in the gameplay.
And coming out this year. So October 27th is the current date. But to Derek's point, October also now has Shadow of War, which is on October 10th. I'm trying to think of my head. Anything else that's coming out in October?
Isn't not the Stick of Truth, the Fractured Butthole also October?
I don't know if that game's even coming this year. We'll have to see Ubisoft's conference tomorrow, because that game's just been delayed so many times, left, right, and center, that we'll just have to wait and see. But okay, so next they brought out Mr. Player Unknown himself with Battlegrounds. So the popular game PUBG on PC is coming console exclusive, so it's already on PC, to Xbox late 2017. From what we saw, they didn't talk about any extra new exclusive anything. It was basically the game's going to be coming to Xbox. I think that's cool. I think that's fun. The game's a great game. Is it going to break the internet? I don't know. I mean, I think that hype train has been so high for so long with that game that, it'd be interesting to see.
It just screams PC game, and I just don't think it's going to have the same success on a console.
Right.
I don't know. I might be wrong, but
yeah, I think it'll introduce more people to the game, but I don't know if you're not involved in that like PC culture, Twitch culture, what that game really, got its heyday from. I don't know if you're gonna download it and you're gonna play it. I don't know if you're gonna understand it.
I don't know. I know you guys like the game a lot, but to me it just looks like a game type that should exist in other types of games. It doesn't look like it needs to be its own standalone game.
Well, it was also a budget title. It was what, $30, Derek?
Yes.
So yeah, something like that.
I mean, I get you. I'm just meaning even Battlefield 1 could introduce a game type like that.
I think it's going to take a lot of the, competitive Xbox 14-year-olds who are obsessed with COD, and they can start playing.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it makes more sense on the Xbox than the PlayStation, especially in that vein.
Actually, now that you bring that up, that actually could have a pretty good point, because people are going to want to still play a modern shooter. And with the new Call of Duty going back to World War II, assuming Battlefield doesn't announce anything new this year.
They did actually. They announced, well, not a new game, but they announced
an expansion.
The Russian.
But again, it's staying in World War One, right? Yeah, World War One.
It can be competitive and back in the day. What's wrong with that?
Well, sure. I'm just meaning if people like little 14-year-olds want to still play a modern shooter, I'm saying they can get a lot of leverage based off of that. Is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, the dude bros are gonna be all about it. So
Kyle, I tweeted out what your mention of that. There's no pre-order available, and I've already got a bunch of interactions.
And what are people saying?
People are saying I had Amazon open, ready to go. Huge bummer. So,
yeah, we'll keep our eyes peeled on that through the rest of the evening, but obviously that's a concern, if you will. Maybe it's overblown, maybe it's nothing, but
Kyle, you should retweet me.
Well, you should retweet all my shit, and I'm running a show here, so here's the thing. But we'll move on to the next one. We don't need to spend too much time on the next few project games because they're more of the smaller. This is where the conference really started to go dry and pretty blah. Deep Rock Galactic. This is, I just wrote down exclusive. Ryan, what did you put for your notes?
Which one? Deep Rock. I just exclusive. That's all I put.
Okay, so maybe this is one of the two that I just truly, I don't even remember what the game is.
Boxy.
Is this the box game?
Yeah, that's right. It looks. I mean, it looks.
I thought it was Minecraft at first.
Right. Okay, so I mean, it had a neat aesthetic to it. I mean, you know, since we're live right now, we're just showing whatever Twitch is showing, so we're seeing some Agents of Mayhem, but we'll move on to that. State of Decay 2, coming out in 2018 on both PC and Xbox. I think it looked cool. I think it looked interesting and fun. State of Decay 1 was, I wouldn't say popular. It was a niche title. People that loved it. And other than that, I think it kind of, you know, had its own audience. I'm kind of interested in it. I'll play it on PC because it more looked like a PC type of game to me anyway. But any interest in that one, guys?
I think you got it with a niche title, but that's, yeah, go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, sorry. I think if you're only going to get one zombie survival game, I think Days Gone is going to be the way to go. That game just interested me a lot more. It looks like it's going to have a lot more story to it. Well, I can't speak for the story, but it just looks a lot more interesting to me.
That's true. Yeah. And with this one saying 2018 with no hard date or window, I mean, who knows how far along this game is when it actually is going to come out. So, interesting. But the next one, I have it circled, and I literally wrote the fuck next to it. So this is where the conference got really weird. So all of a sudden, they were showing a trailer for something. At least, you know, we were Darwin Project, and some dude that's bald with a beard walked out, and he just starts screaming in a microphone. And
I mean, they were trying to make it like a shoutcast thing.
I get it, and I respect esports. I love watching some of the esports stuff, but they didn't introduce it right. Because we were sitting here watching it, and we were like,
know what that is would have been like, what the fuck is
what
going
is
on?
happening? There's some random dude now just screaming on the screen. And the problem is, they showed the game, which I didn't think looked good, but there was no context to the game. So if you're going to talk about a MOBA or a competitive esports style game, and you're going to shoutcast it, you know, have someone talk for 30 seconds and be like, hey, this next title is blah, blah, blah. It's a MOBA. It's going to be all about competitive gameplay. We're going to start doing esports, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to show you a live match right now with a shoutcaster to describe what's going on. It was literally just fucking throwing it in there, dude screaming. No one, I couldn't even understand what he was saying, first and foremost, but, you know, that is what it is. And then there was no context to what style of game it was, what type of game it was, what the objective was, what the goal was. This is why I literally wrote down the fuck. Did you?
I know all I wrote was LOL on mine.
Derek?
It was just
Darwin Project?
Yeah, I thought that was the low point of the conference, honestly.
It was just so weird, and just the game looked terrible.
Yeah,
there was no color to it. It was just snow and bland.
That had to be the worst part of the conference.
This section of the conference here, the next couple games and everything too, definitely was everything. Just went very dry and boring. You know, like we said at the top of the show, we were glad that they went game. They took the Sony style from the last couple of years, but I mean, some of this shit definitely could have been pulled from the conference. So the next thing is Minecraft. Minecraft makes sense to be at the conference. Minecraft's fucking huge, so it totally makes sense to me that they had it. They talk about uniting across all platforms, which is cool.
Yeah.
And they're getting a graphics upgrade. So cool.
Did they ever say explicitly there's cross-platform with PlayStation?
No. I didn't see anything explicitly with who or what or how. So that's probably something they'll have in a press release. So here's the next one where I'm saying, like, this is stuff they could have saved a solid 10, 15 minutes from the show floor. Next one, then they went into Dragon Ball Z, which, once again, not exclusive on all consoles. It just seemed extremely random.
Oh. Yeah, okay. So according to Polygon, it will only be cross-platform across Windows 10, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, virtual reality, and mobile.
Interesting.
So no PlayStation.
Very interesting. But nonetheless, Minecraft's on everything. It's getting a graphics upgrade as well. So then Dragon Ball Z was a thing. On all platforms, it looked like Dragon Ball Z. I understand that makes sense. There's people that love Dragon Ball Z. Did it need 5 minutes of stage time? No. not. I mean, that's the biggest thing to me is like, yeah, it's a cool game for that audience, but when you're trying to sell me on a brand new $500 SKU, I don't know. I think it could have been filled by something else. I would have rather seen more Forza or more Metro or something that actually mattered. Next was Black Desert. It's already on PC, coming to Xbox. So let's make a note here. So we're about halfway through everything. There's only been one exclusive game to Xbox.
It's actually Black Desert.
Black Desert, whatever it is.
No, I'm kidding. It's
I
Black Desert.
think the game looked neat.
That's what I call Sunday night.
Oh, what's up, Nerdy? I see you jumping in there. All you guys still watching, keep throwing in your feedback and everything of the games as we go through. Black Desert. Desert. Derek, you got any context into that?
Yeah, it seemed like you knew about it.
It's an MMO. I haven't played it yet, so I haven't seen much of anything. That's probably the most I've seen on the game, so not really. If you're looking for an MMO, might be.
It's already on PC, coming to Xbox. I didn't write down a date or a window. Yeah. So here's one that's coming that says Xbox console exclusive, which means it's on PC. The Last Night. I'm trying to wrap my head around and trying to remember what The Last Night is. This is the one I think it looked pretty cool, if I remember correctly.
It was that the stylized game with the God rays and all that.
Right. So, right. So I think this is where they got into a lot of their indie ID at Xbox stuff. Were a lot smaller titles that we may not have heard of. Must be on PC already or coming to PC because it says console exclusive. The next one was The Artful Escape. This was the one that was the kind of like 8-bit
Crazy colors
style, but it had really cool lighting and colors. Once again, console exclusive means it's on PC already or coming to PC. I think I really like the looks of this one. I think this one was really cool. But once again, no context to the type of game it was. The trailer was cool, but it didn't show what
those type of games that's just how they are.
Of course.
I think it looks interesting and it looks cool, and it's one of those that it will come out, and if it's good, you'll find out about it a week or two later.
Right. Exactly. So definitely one worth checking out, though. The Artful Escape. I'm sure it'll probably be at a good price, all that good stuff. Next was Code Vein, coming out in 2018, and this is not an exclusive. So this is across the board. Once again, I think, was this the JRPG game, guys?
Affirmative.
Yeah. Once again, if you're in the JRPGs, check it out. Look neat. Not exclusive to the Xbox. Next was a cool one. So this is one they've been talking about for quite some time. It'll be interesting to see what it actually is going to do. That is Sea of Thieves. So Sea of Thieves coming to PC and Xbox One in 2018. No window. So this game continues to get pushed.
It said early 2018.
Or did it say early 2018? Okay, well,
yeah.
Point is 2018. A game that, they've been talking about for a long fucking time that I thought we would be getting sooner than later. So that's kind of disappointing. But the gameplay they showed looked cool. It's always looked cool. I think it's interesting to see where it's going. But yeah,
I mean, I think it looks fun. It looks cool. I think it was just as much as, you say gameplay demos are great. This game, it just seemed like, I think the demo was like 10 minutes or something. It just felt a little bit long.
And it wasn't anything. It didn't. They showed off very boring parts. It was like literally people holding up maps.
The second half was a lot better than the first. The first bit where they're just walking around in the boat, it was like, okay.
Yeah, digging. Nobody cares about digging for gold, but it looks cool.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where I hope that game has a demo or a beta or something to get people to try it out and get hooked on it. Because if it truly has that play with others appeal, great. But I brought up what was the name of the game we talk about? Evolve. Same thing, right? Everybody loved that E3 in a setting where you're playing it with other people. You kick it over and then the game just died because it was one of those where it's just hard for a lot of people just didn't have the interest in trying to pull together a crew and playing it. So we'll see. I think it looks fun. Looks pretty, all that good stuff. Next, quickly, was console exclusive. Coming out on August 2nd is Tacoma. I believe this is the guy that made Gone Home. It looks interesting. I don't really have it on my radar. I don't think it's anything I'm really excited about. It's going to be on PC and console. So, Tacoma, you know. Next one was Super Lucky's Tale. This looked like a platformer, more of a children's vein, if you will. Children's.
I think trying to say child game isn't the best way to phrase it, but
No.
it's steered towards children.
Family friendly.
Family game, yeah.
It looks fun. It looks like a platformer. It says it's on PC and Xbox One in 2018. Let's hope they kind of do the Ratchet and Clank route, and it's no more than like $40, because I think that'll also help drive sales. So, I mean, that'll be very interesting to see what that comes of that. I mean, I don't think we need to talk anymore on it. Next was Cuphead. Cuphead's one that's been very, very popular. People have been talking about it and wanting it forever. Coming out on September 29th.
At this point, I think everyone's just like, cool, please just fucking release it.
And they didn't give it much time. It had maybe a 30-second trailer. Like, it was
And I think
quick.
that was probably the right thing. It's just everyone's seen so much of it, it just needs to release.
For sure. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it makes sense. So, do what you gotta do, girl. But next is, now we get into some of the bigger stuff. So this is where they started you make the conference good again.
Make the conference good again.
Yeah, that's kind of what I just said. Okay, so the big one that they've been talking about for a while, they actually showed it off, gave it a release date, PC and Xbox. It's Crackdown 3. So Crackdown series has been around for a while now. It looked great. I'm actually surprised they didn't kind of give it a bit more love or a bit more details about it. But the bigger point is it's coming out day and date with Xbox One X. So this is quote unquote your flagship launch title for the 4K Xbox. I mean, Crackdown 3, guys, what do you think?
I thought it was cool they got Terry Crews.
Yeah, I think that was the
first
big
part.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense.
I don't know. I want to see gameplay, and the graphics were a little bit lackluster for a 4K console. But we'll see. I haven't seen it in person or anything. So.
Right. Brian?
We'll see. I think the Terry Crews thing was huge. I think that definitely spurred people's interest more. Because I wouldn't have cared at all if they didn't have him, but at least having him there, it was like, okay, that's at least they're investing the money in it then.
Right. And they had Terry Crews, like you said, which was super funny and cool at the beginning. But to Derek's point, it didn't blow me away. That was my own misstep and ignorance of thinking that it wasn't this the art style that it was. I was expecting this to be, because they've kind of talked about this being their flagship title. If you guys remember when they first showed off Crackdown 3 back in the day, they were talking about all the Microsoft servers and something to do with the cloud. Remember when the cloud was their biggest thing they kept talking about at E3 for a long time there? And how this can help populate things and stuff. And Crackdown was the game they talked about. Obviously, that wasn't mentioned at all now. And the game didn't blow my mind visually, which it looks great. It looks pretty, but I don't think it's... To me, to have a flagship title for how much they're trying to invest or hype up the Xbox One X, I just expected more. Maybe that's my own fault, but... like Derek said, we'll have to go hands-on to see it.
They didn't have... I think what they needed to do was either show off a new Halo, or they had to show off a brand new, Xbox exclusive first-party AAA game.
And that's what I thought they would do. I mean, so maybe we're getting ahead of ourselves, but we can talk on it.
New IP.
To go back to Boogie's tweet, 2 actual exclusives out of this fucking whole lineup, and then to hype up this thing, and you don't have a flagship AAA built from the ground up solely for this fucking console that is a new IP or something that's groundbreaking. Because you can say Gears of War or Halo, of course, that'll sell consoles, but it's not here.
There was no original new IP.
There was no original new IP, which is the fucking problem that everyone talks about Xbox year in and year out, where it's rinse and repeat. It's Forza, Gears, Halo, and then whatever else, third-party stuff, which looks great, but it's not a selling point for an exclusive, to get something exclusively. And Crackdown 3 is not in the same world as Halo or Gears. It's not. I don't care.
Again, yeah, exactly. And I was just meaning it needs to be a new IP, something
that, right? If you had
Last of Us moment, or they needed an Uncharted, they needed something that was here's a reason to swap over.
Right,
At least
like a
with,
Last of Us
the Pro
moment's a great example. Or a Horizon moment when
or Horizon,
someone comes
exactly.
out of
Horizon
nowhere,
Dawn was a big one that
no
happened with
context to
Pros.
what this game is, and all of a sudden this is a fucking built from the ground up exclusive. Like Xbox players, this is for you. And like, hey, Crackdown looks cool, but like I said, I don't think it's a system seller. It's not gonna move units, even the way a Halo or a Gears would. So we'll see. Next is Ashen. I'm trying to remember this, so help me.
Showed a bunch of indies in between, but yeah.
Yeah, so they did a whole indie segment. We're not gonna get into all that because a lot of those indies are across the board. They're on everything. Some good-looking, great games. Ashen.
That was a fast reel too. They didn't
It was
really.
really fast, yeah.
Yeah, really fast. It was all like, "Hey, we got indies. We promise. Okay, on to Ashen." What are you doing? Do you guys remember what Ashen is?
Fuck.
I'm drawing a blank, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was actually looking at it on mine, and I've been sitting here.
I didn't know we were supposed to take notes though, so you guys left me out of the loop.
I mean,
Oh, this was another one of the like JRPGs, I think.
Oh,
Or
okay.
no,
Yeah.
Never mind. It's not a JRPG. It's the one that's like, it looks. We thought it was something else. It's like, just Google it and it'll come back to you. It's not really that memorable. It was okay, cool.
I mean, I think I remember it looking cool. I just don't remember what it was.
It's like a cartoonish style. Like it looks like an Elder Scrolls-esque type game, but it's cartoonish style.
Oh, it's the game that was like a Dark Souls.
Yes, that.
Oh, that actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
This game
that
actually looks
does
cool.
look cool.
Yeah,
It looks interesting.
I like the art style. I like obviously
And
it looked
that was
challenging.
a console exclusive, so I'll give them that. It was an
No,
original.
I have
game.
PC and Xbox.
Okay, that's what
Well-
I'm meaning. That's what I mean in console exclusive.
Yeah. Well, you got to start calling it exclusive, I guess, because it's the same company.
That's just what it is now. Yes. That's what
Yes,
an
but
Xbox
it still goes
exclusive
against
is.
the argument of do I need to buy this new console? Right?
Okay, but that's beyond the argument right now. We're just talking about it's exclusive only to the Xbox. You can't get it on PlayStation.
Yes. Okay. And right, exactly. So I mean, yeah, that game looked good.
But it's not a AAA title. Was my point. It wasn't developed by.
Right. The next one was really cool, kind of unexpected. I would not have guessed that this was going to be here. That's Life is Strange 2. I forget what the actual full name was.
Before the Storm.
Before the Storm. So Life is Strange Before the Storm. Coming out on everything, so not exclusive, but cool to have that on stage there, and it's coming sooner than we thought. It was the
August.
first 3 episodes are this August, so if you enjoyed the first Life is Strange, fuck.
I think they said it's just the Before the Storm. It's 3 episodes. That's it.
Oh, so maybe this isn't Life is Strange 2. Maybe it's like a prequel thing.
I have no idea.
Well, that's where you're doing your homework.
I mean, all I know is I just picked up the PlayStation Plus of the first one, and I'm gonna play through that sometime soon.
Fair enough. I mean,
So, just a note to everyone: if you listen to this before the end of June, you can get it on PlayStation Plus for free.
there you go. And all you guys that are watching this either now live or also on the VOD, we're seeing the Metro Exodus that we saw on the Xbox stage. Looks awesome. So kudos to those guys. Next is awesome. Fucking huge. Shadow of War. Coming out on October 10th. And this is on everything. So PS4, Xbox, PC. Looks fucking incredible. So they gave a lot of time to this, so I'm glad they did. We got to see some gameplay. We got to see some of the elements of changing out the stuff and all the different characters and a lot of dialogue, the personalities that the characters had. So big fan of that. This is one of my most anticipated games for the year. I'm really excited about it. What did you guys think of Shadow of War?
I mean, this is my most hyped game for me. I know. I don't think there really could be anything else that's going to overshadow this in regards to like what I'm most excited for. I mean, other than the new South Park game is going to be fantastic. Red Dead Redemption has been pushed back to next year, so it's not like that's going to be there. Only other one that is going to be big, but at this point, I'm still just more hyped for Shadow of War is Destiny 2, but we'll find more about that tomorrow.
Yes. Derek, Shadow of War.
I mean, Brian said it. Super hyped.
Yeah.
It just looks awesome. It looks like it does look like a proper sequel to the first game, in that it's going to be the same idea, but they're just adding on all these new concepts and story, and it looks like it's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah, Shadow of War just took me by surprise last year. I was like, oh, Lord of the Rings game
Mordor.
looks pretty. Or yeah, sorry, Shadow of Mordor. Lord of the Rings game gonna be rated or rated M, so it'll be violent.
But I think that was how it was with everyone. Everyone was like,
Yeah,
eh,
it
yeah,
exceeded
whatever.
everyone's expectations.
And
When
then it
Shadow
was
of
like,
Mordor
wait,
came out,
no,
everybody
this
was
is a
like, holy
good
fuck,
game.
this game's awesome. What's up, Frisk? Thanks for joining us here in the chat. We're breaking down the Xbox conference. You said you enjoyed it. Give us reasons why, what games stood out, that sort of thing. You're here. We're going through game by game. Next is Ori and the Will of Wisps. This is PC and Xbox. Obviously, this is the sequel to Ori and the Blind Forest, which is a very highly received, well-respected game, indie title, I believe, which, is a lot of fun, and people are just loving it. I mean, I never played it. Jolin said it wasn't that sad or anything like that. So, I mean, I'm excited for it. I think it looks really beautiful. A
lot of people loved the game. So
Yeah.
I didn't play it, but good on everyone. I mean, it'd be the same style if they were to come out and say Child of Light 2 is coming out, I would be fucking bouncing off the walls right now because I love that game, but most people would be like, wait, what?
Right. Exactly.
So.
I mean, I think I don't know if it's not a console seller, because especially with it being on PC. Obviously, the indie titles do very, very well on Steam. But I think it looks great, and I think if it has any of the same pedigree of the first one, people are going to love it, and it's going to be well respected. So, that was not the last game, but then they started talking about the console again, so this is where the shit got a little disappointing, if you will. Obviously, it's back. No, so now they're announcing backwards compatibility with original Xbox games. I think that's cool, fine, great if you're into playing the older games. I personally am not. I'll never go back and do that. It's just games don't age very well.
I think it's a cool thing to do, though.
Very cool. It's a nice gesture.
Yes, it is a very cool thing that if you now buy the most recent Xbox console, you can play every Xbox game. Well, so as long as it's available for the backwards compatibility program,
set list.
You can play most of the big games that came out, and I think that is really cool.
Right.
It's something that I think PlayStation could do, and I mean, should I say should do? I don't know. They don't need to, is the point, but I think it's something that would be. It's definitely a good selling point for the Xbox.
Right. And as we're wrapping up all the games here, obviously there's one more big one we got to talk about. Frisk said Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves, Code Vein, Cuphead, Ashen, Life is Strange, Anthem. I agree. I mean, I think as we were talking about all those titles, those are probably, I wouldn't put Code Vein in there. I mean, not an Xbox exclusive. Ashen we're very excited about. Life is Strange looks great as well. Crackdown 3 is, I guess, the only one, and Sea of Thieves that are true exclusives that I'm super excited about. Cuphead, I kind of lost the hype on that. But yeah, I agree with most of that list too. So
it looks good.
They also talked about they're going to do some updates to some previous titles. So I just wrote down, obviously, the noteworthy ones: Halo 5, Gears 4, Forza 6. They're all going to get the Xbox One X enhanced treatment. So just like they did with the PS4 Pro, where older titles will get updated to run in 4K, look better, play better, that sort of thing, which is nice. I'm glad they're doing that. That's on a lot of the developers, third party and first party, to do that. So I think that's a nice thing. But here's where it got odd. $500 for this console. So I know we talked about this at the top of the post show. It's an okay price. It's not a great price. It's not a bad price. It's hard to justify spending $200 more than the current Xbox One S, and you don't even need to get into the name fiasco. And I just don't see it. I mean, when all these games are going to be on PC as well, if you want an Xbox, I'd say those people that just want an Xbox to have an Xbox will spend the $300. And I think if it came in at $400, it was only $100 more, where it really was like, this is for the premium gamer, this is for the person with the 4K TV, all that good stuff. I think that's awesome. It's just $500 is hard to chew.
It's not like if it was $400 and they did say new Halo or Anthem, even if they said Anthem was exclusive, again, just the point of a new original IP that was going to be exclusive, then I maybe would have considered it. It's just $500 for this.
And that's the bigger point, right? I mean,
If
there
I'm-
was
if I'm gonna
no
spend $500,
new
I'm gonna go
IP
for the
from
game PC.
Xbox that's exclusive on this list. So 42 games, 2 are exclusive to Xbox. I mean, obviously, all the other ones are coming on PC. But it's just like there's no system seller. There's no major just fuck me in the ass. You have to go spend this $500 and get this game because this is what you
Whoa.
need.
That came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was
You gotta make sure you guys are paying attention. That's all.
I
No,
guess.
but I mean, like Anthem, for example, right? Brian just talking about. So we'll talk on Anthem because that's how they close the show. Anthem looks fucking awesome. Anthem looks fucking insane. But Derek, where are you gonna play it?
I'll be the PC, of course, but I'll be the spoiler on that. If it's only $100 more to get the most powerful console, so I get that there's not as many exclusives, but
$100 more than the Pro.
yeah,
$200 more than the regular SKUs.
Yeah, more. I'm saying $100 more than the PS4 Pro.
Right.
Sure, and that's I'm just meaning. To me, the competition isn't between PS4 Pro and Xbox One X. To me, this is the competition is still between PS4 and Xbox. It's just if you're already interested in or already know which way you're going to go, I'm just meaning then the discussion comes in, do I get the One S or the One X, or do I get the PS4 Slim or the Pro, is my point. And that it just, to me, it doesn't seem like enough justification to make the jump, or if I want to buying an Xbox console altogether, it was the kind of the thought. To me, I'd rather put another $100 or $200 in and buy a decent gaming PC.
And I think that's the thing, because it's such a niche market in itself. So whether you're PS4 Pro or Xbox One X, doesn't matter. Let's not make it in a competition between platforms. It's such a niche audience in itself because there's still such a small market that has a 4K TV that wants to take advantage of these things, or that they care, that they're smart enough to care about 60 frames per second, 4K, blah blah blah. Like I said, the example of when a mom's walking into a store at Christmas to buy something for their 12-year-old son, he says he wants the new Xbox. Is it the Xbox One original SKU? Is it the Xbox One S, or is it the Xbox One X? And she's going to be like, I don't know what the difference is. And the employee's going to say, well, that one's on 4K. Then she's going to say, what's the price? They say, that's 500 and that's 300. She's like, well, I'm going to get the 300. Because he'll say, yeah, it plays all the same games.
I think the 4K gaming systems are geared more towards enthusiasts.
Right,
so it's not going to be little kids that are going to be wanting.
But I agree, but I'm telling you, where you're making money as a company across the board, right? It is a niche market. But that niche market's cut in half, or whatever the percentage would be. It's even less of a niche than it already was because of the price point and because all those games are coming on PC. If it wasn't to where Xbox made the announcement to where all future Xbox One first-party games are going to be on PC as well, so all the hardcore people like me and you that care about that shit, we're going to get it on PC. Because I'm not going to go spend $500 on something that's going to run better on my PC anyway. Or if I truly wanted to play something on Xbox, I have my Xbox One S. I just think if the Xbox One S did not come out, and if these Xbox games, original IPs, were not coming out on PC, it'd be a whole different discussion. I think it would make a whole much more sense. Or if they came out with a fucking gangbuster announcement. Like if Anthem was exclusive to Xbox, it wasn't on PlayStation, it wasn't on PC, then fuck yeah, people are going to go buy this motherfucker. Or if they showed off the new Gears of War or whatever.
I still think you're going to be spending about $1,200 to $1,500 to get a comparable PC, though. That's the only issue.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, and I'm sure Reddit and NeoGAF and everybody's going to start doing those breakdowns of specs to see kind of what that cost would look like on PC, but obviously optimization, everything makes it better.
It's not the specs, it's all optimization.
Right. And I respect that, and I think that makes perfect sense. But it's just, where I'm getting at is, it's the thing would sell easier if it was at that $400 price point. But I get it, it's expensive.
The rich mom's going there, and that's who's going to be, what's the best one?
Yeah,
for sure. Powerful one, the Scorpio, or the Xbox One X.
Yeah, I mean, the argument's still the same for the Pro, in that
100%.
People still are buying the Pro because they just say, even if you go into GameStop and you talk to the employee there, they're going to say, what are my options? Well, you have these two things.
Yeah, and your enthusiasts are going to want the greatest thing. Yeah. I get it. I mean, I 100% agree. I just, for devil's advocate, we're showing all the sides.
the enthusiasts are going to want the the $2,000 PC.
Right. That's furthering my point, right? It's like it's an odd in between, right? Like, because you have the top end, which is your PC, and then you have your other end, which is the standard SKUs, whether it's a PS4 or Xbox One. So then everything that's in the middle is either PS4 Pro, Xbox One X, and
if it can do 60 FPS 4K though, that will be pretty mind blowing. Because
for sure,
my GTX 1080 can't even do that.
Right.
Oh, there's no way it's gonna do 60 frames at 4K.
That's what they claimed. The Forza 7, they claimed 60 FPS 4K, right, Kyle?
I believe they did say that for Forza, but that's the only game that they actually said that. And racing games, if they're not, like it makes sense, right? It's the bigger conversation will be in 6 months when this thing releases. How many games at launch and then a year later are actually me doing that 60 frames per second 4K? Because if it is, like Derek said, that's fucking incredible. Huge at that price point. It's just tough, right? We can't predict it. We can't see what it is. I also just think the $500 price point is scary for the market. And when the Xbox One first released, it was $500. And obviously, it had its big PR blunder of all the pushing TV and all the Kinect and all that shit that nobody cared about. So
I don't know. We convinced our parents to get us a $600 PS3.
Yeah, you fucks.
That's true. That's very true. But I'm just saying, right? Like it's hard to justify it when there's other things at the price. It's just
there's still
it's
the
gonna be so
precedent,
interesting.
though, of the Xbox came out around the same time, the 360, I'm meaning, and it blew the PS3 out of the water for a good year or two until they got the price down to where it needed to be.
Right. Exactly.
So it's just
and it's a head-to-head thing, right?
$500 is a lot to ask in a 2017 console market when you're competing against a $250 PS4 and it's the Switch is $250, right? Or
and itself, you can buy the Xbox One S for $250.
It's hard to compete against that. Is the point,
right?
And I don't know. I just that's more so my point is that is $500 a lot of money? Yes, but are people willing to spend it? Sure, but it still doesn't mean that it fit properly in the market, and that's where I was getting at. That $400 would have nailed it on the head, and it also would have put Sony in a difficult position because it's more powerful and the same price as a Pro.
Right, 100%. So let's
even $450, I think would have been.
It's a perception thing too, right? When someone walks into a store and they hear that's $500, that sounds fucking crazy. $400 is still a lot of money.
Yeah, half a G-bar.
But $400
is a little rough.
It's like Brian said, it's a console market expectation. Where anything above $400 seems absurd in the console market, right? PC is a whole different world, obviously, but we'll see. But the last thing we were talking about earlier is why, and this is the most concerning fucking thing. I don't know if you can refresh Amazon, Brian. Pre-orders are still not open. They didn't talk about pre-orders.
Yeah, no, there's still nothing out there.
And a lot of people are, like you said, tweeting about it of, this is very odd that pre-orders are not opening at any retailer. So even Microsoft's own website and stores. So like I said, there's something odd there. Does that mean it's going to get delayed? No. But does it leave question marks in the air? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting.
It's still 5 months away. I think you give it 2 months and they're still not up for pre-order. It's something's kind of weird going on.
So did they say what hard drive it's coming with?
1 terabyte, I believe, right?
I don't remember them saying it, but maybe they did because they threw a whole bunch of shit up on screen there in all that regard. Like Frisk said, water cooling.
An SSD would be pretty game-changing, though.
If it's a 1 terabyte SSD, that's huge.
No, it would not be $500.
Yeah.
A 1 terabyte SSD is like $400 by itself, or like $300, something like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, like to throw an SSD in there in itself, I think the price would have gone up. So,
but a 500 gig SSD, even at that, I mean, faster load times, better open world optimization.
I think that would have been huge. That would have been absolutely huge if they threw an SSD in there. But oh well. But let's end it talking about. I think that would. Let's talk about Anthem, the new game from EA, more specifically from BioWare. This is BioWare Prime. Says 2018, which seems very, very optimistic to me considering Mass Effect just came out, but it is a different studio, different BioWare. So who knows how long they've been working on this, but Anthem looked fucking great. Holy shit. There's a mix of Mass Effect and Horizon. Like, I don't even know what to fucking say, man. Like, that game looks awesome. They didn't show any of the RPG elements, like the conversations, talking with others, all that good stuff, but I think the game looks beautiful. I trust BioWare. I think it looks fun. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, it looks cool.
Looks awesome.
It looks like the game that, as much as I haven't played Andromeda yet, even though I have it purchased, and I'm still excited to play it, unfortunately, it does look like the game that Andromeda should have been, in a sense. I know it's still, Mass Effect is its own universe, but it does. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I mean, Andromeda looked like to the same extent just as cool as this when it was first announced. So,
That's true, yeah.
And I never played Andromeda, so I can't say definitely, but I just heard it was really hollow. A lot of show no-go.
They fixed a lot of it in patches after the fact, which I'm not defending. That's wrong. You shouldn't be doing that. But the game's a lot better now than what it was when it launched, which is partially good why I've waited to play it.
Right. So, yeah, Anthem coming 2018. Apparently, this is on all consoles, everything like that. Once again, PC from BioWare and EA. So, looks incredible. Hopefully, we hear more soon. Maybe, I guess EA's already done their thing yesterday, so it'll probably go silent for a while. But hopefully, we see more of that soon. But, all right, guys. So, we are going to wrap up here during our first E3 live stream, specifically where we watched the Xbox stream, talked about it, worked with you guys in the chat, and then now we're doing our post show. So we're going to be done for now, but we will be back again live tonight for the Bethesda conference. Bethesda will be beginning at 10 o'clock p.m. Central Time, which is 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We will start the show probably 30 to 40 minutes before Bethesda goes live, just to make sure things are working correctly, all that good stuff. So make sure you stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We'll be live right here at twitch.tv/PenguinRage at 10 o'clock p.m. Central Time for Bethesda to see the future of what is. Is there going to be more Fallout? Is there going to be Elder Scrolls? What are we going to do? I don't even know.